Before Andy Beckstoffer became one of the most influential grape growers in Napa, he took a long, winding road.
I guess I've been out here since 1969. Got an engineering degree in college, and then I got an MBA. So I was in the engineering business, I was in the finance business, and now I'm in the farming business. When you talk about how you became an entrepreneur, type like that, I remember I guess it was John Kennedy somebody said, how'd you get to be a hero? And he said, well, they sunk my boat. So if you look at what happened to me, is they sunk my boat in terms of I couldn't do what I wanted to do. When I got out of graduate school, I was interviewed by McKinsey all over the country, and then they didn't offer me a job. Wouldn't give me a job, so they sunk my boat, right? But Hugh Blind, I went to work for Hugh Blind, who had Smirnoff vodka, small New England thing. Let me just say, the CFO was socially unacceptable. So I got to do lots of things there that a 28-year-old wouldn't be able to do. So I spent lots of time out here negotiating, talking to co-ops in Escalon and Turlock, and you can imagine. But I began to I like farmers. I like farmers better than liquor salesmen. So, but I got to know growers. Really got to know growers, and then all of a sudden, BV, Beaulieu Vineyard, became for sale. And again, I got to negotiate part of that program. So my first job was traveling all around the country to tell people with money at the 38th floor of the Station Manhattan building, you ought to invest in wine grapes. And I did the analysis of that. And so they said, yeah, well, we'll invest, but who's going to farm? So they said, hell, I'm not going to farm. I live in New York. That's what they say to me. So we had set up a farming company. And so in those days, in all of the Napa Valley, there were 2 college-trained viticulturists. Generally speaking, it was, whether you're local or non-local, you basically had a Mexican and a tractor, and they just did what they'd done before. What we did is when we started this farming company, we hired 3 college-trained viticulturists. But then we were hit by a boycott by the United Farm Workers and Cesar Chavez.
This is the beginning of what we hope will be a nationwide campaign to do the boycott. To add another dimension to the boycott, we're pretty sure now that it's just a matter of time. We just need time, and we'll be able to. The boycott and the help of the strike is going to force the growers to come to terms with the Farm Workers Union.
Farm workers made like $1.25 an hour. I went around and I saw their housing. It was just man's inhumanity to hands. So I said, they're not union workers, they're our workers. And we got to treat them as part of the team. That was not a popular thought. I mean, the corporation didn't think that, but they gave me some money to clean it up. But all of a sudden, I end up running a farm management company because I had to, because of what Cesar Chavez did. So that's where we started, interested in technology, interested in farm workers and taking care of that stuff. And we began to get Cabernet because of these guys who would invest. And so in 1970, the corporation decided that they had enough Cabernet, so they said, sell the company. And the only possible buyer was these guys in New York. And I had been out here, and I had run a small farming company, and I wanted a job back with the corporation because I thought I'd had success. But that didn't count for a hell of a lot. Running a little farming company, and you want a big job with a big Eastern marketing company. So I couldn't sell the company, and I couldn't find a job. I said, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You lend me the money, so I will buy the company, and you're assured of getting a supply of quality grapes, and you don't have to find me a job. So they said, okay, I became an entrepreneur, 1973. And we were farm managers. We didn't have any real estate or anything like that. I borrowed all the money at 6%, which was prime in 73. By 75, it was 17%. And the price of grapes in 73 when I bought it, let's just say, I think Cabernet was $800, and 74 it was $400. So, like lots of people, we're totally underground in 78. And it wasn't until 1981 that we're on our feet, and we bought a 13-acre vineyard in Napa. And then we started from there. The winemakers here began to make excellent wine. We wanted our share of the winery's revenue. So when people ask, how do you determine who you want to sell to? First of all, we look, who's the winemaker? You got to make sure somebody can make wine. And he could be established, or he could be somebody you could tell was going to get there. And the owner had to understand what business he's in. He's in the quality business. We can't have this great wine and he charged $50 a bottle for it. So, but those two, they're the ones that created this market. And all we did was tie ourselves to their wagon. What happened was we changed the focus of the negotiation between the grower and the vintner. Now, and when you run that occasion, is that the grower will ask the vintner, what's the price of the bottle my grapes will go into? You can see what happens when that bottle of wine gets to be $300. When I came here, you could not make money owning a vineyard in Napa Valley. And the only people who could own a vineyard were people who inherited, had no investment, or two could lose money on the grapes and make money on the wine. When this happened, you could. Now, what we all pride ourselves with and what we work for here is agricultural preservation. In this beautiful place, 60 miles from San Francisco, the primary use of the land is agriculture. They had an ag preserve that says you could only do one house and one winery per 40 acres. That's all great, but Adam Smith was right. If you can't make money in that investment, you're going to move it. You're either going to move your money out of the investment or you're going to change the use. And you could not make money, so that if we hadn't changed it so that vineyards here, the good vineyards, are the economic, long-term, highest and best use of the land. Now, you don't know a lot of places where something commercial or urban isn't the highest in use place of the land. But here, with what we did, agriculture became the economic, long-term, I mean, you could sell it at one time, long-term use of the land, and so we can preserve the Napa Valley for agriculture. That's a big deal.
Today, thanks to Andy and growers like him, Napa Valley remains one of the few places where agriculture is still the highest and best use of the land.